from a different star, flying over streets and the broken hearts. But they can't even touch us, we found a different beat. Paradise is waiting and we bought the leaves. Ooh, getting caught in the mist, there's so many that never get out of. They're feeding the fears and the doubts.
Making herself right at home here. I think we could leave her here and she wouldn't care less. Quite like your nice stable, don't you? So we've just arrived at the hub. It was a good journey actually. I think it took us about 3 hours in the end, but nice and smooth up the motorway. We have arrived. Megan has been put in her stable just for a quick chill out before we get on board, and we do our ridden biomechanics session with Dee. So that's with the Equibands that I've done with Erica before. And I think she's going to use some rock tape and all sorts. See my symmetry and stuff in the saddle and how we can improve Mega's way of going. I've loved using the Equibands with Erica before, so I'm super excited to see what Dee picks up on as well, as she's the one who trained Erica to use the Equibands. So it'd be interesting to see if she picks up on any extra things as well. I'm sure there'll be some similarities. And then after that, Megs will come back in her box and we will go and do some off the horse activities. So looking at my core strength, symmetry within my muscles. So yeah, I'm super intrigued to see how that goes as well. Probably much harder work than in the saddle anyway.
I've been through heartaches, I've been to heaven. I've done my best and my worst, learned my lessons. No matter how hard my life would treat me, I'd always get right back up.
Meg is most disappointed that we won't be doing any jumpies today. Just having a good look around, aren't we? So lush here though. So you'll see Dee has put the Equibands on me, so I've got a band going from my left shoulder down to my right heel, and that is because my glutes aren't very awake. I take a lot of work to get them to wake up, and that causes my lower leg not to be stable, for me not to be equal in my seat, which then means that I start to balance on my hands, which is why I've then also got some bands around my wrists to try and help me be a little bit more stable in the contact, a bit more consistent, but keeping the contact elastic, so not fixing and holding onto Mega, still allowing her to move through the contact, but just keep my hands a bit stiller. So where I'm using my hands to sort of help keep me balanced because I haven't got that security in the seat, it's then causing my hands, as you'll see there, to just move a little bit too much. So that's what we're hoping to amend throughout the session. So having had the bands on for a relatively short amount of time still, we move up into the canter, and I'm pleased to see that there's been some change here already. And like I say, this is quite early on still. You can see my lower leg is much stiller, my hands are a lot stiller, and I'm sitting much deeper into the saddle and going with Mega's movement rather than being quite rigid and not following the movement and following the beat of her canter there. So yeah, that's really pleasing to see. Dee was then getting me to focus on my elbows. I've got a notoriously bad habit of straightening my arms instead of keeping my arms bent and riding Mega up into my contact. I sort of have my arms straight, I think, in a real weird attempt to try and get her to keep her head carriage nice and low. But by keeping my hands up and riding her up into the bridle, she'll have a much nicer self-carriage, which we can start to see here is really taking shape. So then it was time to whip the bands off and see if I could still maintain those same behaviours without the bands maybe helping encourage me do it. So now that I've activated those muscles and I've felt what that should feel like with the bands on, can I still maintain that without them on there? Let's see. So looking at this, I hope you will agree, I think my lower leg looks much more stable. It's not swinging about so much, it's underneath me where it should be. And then in turn, my seat is much better. I remember feeling like I was sat much more equally on both my seat bones, and then my hands are in a much better position. They're obviously still not 100% as still as I would like them, but they're in a much better position carriage-wise. They're not as low so that they're nearly touching the pommel of the saddle. And yeah, Mega was going really nicely in response. Moving back up into the canter, we were then coming up the centre line in canter to check that I was riding symmetrically and that we were dead straight up the centre line. There was no wibbly wobbliness, and actually I was really pleased with this. Obviously we're not at a stage where in dressage yet where we canter up the centre line, but we were dead straight, so I was really pleased with that. Maggie's very smart, day stable, while I go and do another workout. You were a very good girl, weren't you? Whoosh.
Yeah, super. Now do it with a weight. It's only a tiny weight. You go a little way. Yeah, you've got to go all the way back as well. Yeah, super. Very nice. Okay, now the leg comes up. Okay, try the other side.
Quick refuel for lunch. Well, I was absolutely buzzing with how the ridden biomechanics session went. The difference from start to finish was just incredible, and the main difference was me as a rider. Like, I wasn't even really focusing on Mega, so thinking about my hands, their positioning, the stillness, but not like in a rigid way, like still allowing her to move and everything, but keeping the contact consistent and stuff. So yeah, really good. And then the off horse stuff has just massively highlighted how unfit I am and that there's so much work to do there. So I've now got a set of Equibands, so I've got absolutely no excuse, so I can use those for off horse exercises as well as on the horse. But I've also invested in a ball as well, because my core needs some serious work. Like, it's actually embarrassing. So Dee has given me some exercises for me to work on with Erica going forward, and hopefully, watch this space, you'll see some big changes in me, and therefore some big changes in my riding. So Meg is all loaded up, we're ready to get on the road and head on home. But yeah, hope you guys have enjoyed coming along for this one. Make sure you like, comment and subscribe, and we shall see you for another video very soon.